they want to talk about careers.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Rachel, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Rachel, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Sarah, nice to meet you. I'm Sarah,
Nice
nice
to
to meet
meet
you.
you.
Nice to meet you.
Team Delta, the judges are ready to hear your solution. You have 20 minutes to present your solution to the judges. You will be given a warning when 5 and 2 minutes remain. After 20 minutes, the presentation will be stopped immediately. No information will be considered after the time has lapsed. Following the presentation, you will have 10 minutes of question and answer. You will be given a warning when 2 minutes remain. The question and answer will be stopped after 10 minutes and no information will be considered afterwards. You may begin when you're ready.
Good morning, everyone. We're so thankful to be here, and we're really excited to show you our new solution to one of the biggest, newest challenges facing the financial industry. My name is Rachel. This is Sarah, Lauren, and Amit. They'll be talking to you guys today about some of the issues that you've approached with us with to challenge. So the key concern that you guys have the two-pronged approach to it. So it's who is our future client, and also what is our value proposition that we offer to that client. And this has 5 different aspects to it. So identifying a new client, attracting them, engaging them, serving them, and retaining them.
But who is our new client? Meet Eddie. Eddie is a young adult fresh out of nursing school. Up until this point, all he really thought about was applying a career. But now that he did, then what happens? He knows that he needs to purchase a home and actually build a life and a family. However, the amount of student debt that he has right now makes it just not feasible. At this point, we know that we need Eddie, but Eddie doesn't know that he needs us yet. Okay, so the approach that we've taken, we've conducted a few analyses that will tell us the what and the how, also the who, the where, and the when. So we're going to take you from the analysis part up until the implementation of our solution.
So first off, let's start with an external analysis. First off, we did a micro-analysis with the pestle form. Technology. This is a key instrument now in financial reporting and financial implication, so this is something we really need to focus on. Next is population demographic. With the changing from baby boomers to millennials, we need to keep up with this current change in values. Economic conditions. The stability of the economy is really good right now, so we need to focus on that and really implement well, since this is a good area for us. Legislation and regulation. With the new administration, changes are coming, so we need to implement quickly and before these happen. And then lastly, societal values and lifestyle. With it being something going from baby boomers to millennials, the goals change a little bit. Baby boomers are a little more goal-driven, but millennials are a little more career-driven. So we need to change along with that demographic change. Next, we did a Porter's 5 Forces, which is a little bit more industry-driven. First off is substitute products. Since technology is becoming more integrated and it is becoming just a high way of doing financial reporting, such as like e-trading, this is a high probability and high threat. Next off is buyer power. Since there are so many different areas you can go to, so besides Edward Jones, this is a high threat as well. New entrants. Because Edward Jones has its size is kind of a barrier to entry, this is not as big of a concern to us, that's why it's marked low. Next is supplier power. This is also low because the stock market is kind of available to everyone, and this has been a norm, so it's not something we're going to focus on. The last one is rival firms. This is something that we need to keep up and keep going to be able to keep up with their trends as well. So this is moderate. We need to keep up with Fidelity and E-Trade and their technology and advancements and catering to the millennials. Next, and after all those analyses, we have a moderate force applying to all of them, because we do need to adapt technologically while going from the baby boomers to the millennial shift. Next off will be Rachel talking about the external and internal analysis.
All right, so now we're going to look at the SWOT analysis, which also looks at the external like she was talking about, but it's also looking at more focused on us, so our strengths and our weaknesses. So some of our strengths is that we've been doing this for a long time, 95 years, so we're used to adapting to new market challenges. We've been doing this for a while. Also, we're ranked pretty high in our weird standards such as investor satisfaction, and it focuses on working with small investors as well as big investors, which is a big thing for us. However, we do have some weaknesses, which is we do have some room for improvement with technology platforms. And And also our employee attrition growing, meaning some of our older employees are leaving the job industry. So opportunities for growth. So stable economic growth rate, product innovation and online presence becoming crucial. So if we recognize these key challenges soon and adequately address them, fitting with our core values, then if we do that, we could successfully be able to approach the new market. So some of the new threats. Obsolescence in the industry in the coming data age. So the new market is more lazy, they're more impatient, and they want convenient things. So coming directly to an investment like advisor is going to be a little bit, shaky. So we have to show them why there's value in doing that, why that personal relationship is something they should go after.
So, our SWOT analysis came to a conclusion given that our both strength and threats are high, so we will be focusing on diversification.
Okay, so why isn't Eddie investing? We already mentioned that Eddie is from a new generation, a generation that's much more risk averse. You can see that 80% of the millennials, they don't invest their money at all. And the reasons they gave us why is they don't have the money to invest, imagine that. And some of them claim they don't know how. And in Eddie's case specifically, as I mentioned before, is the student debt problem that keeps him from investing his money. So, some takeaway points that we've taken from our analysis so far is that millennials are taking a huge part of our target market right now in the financial market. Okay, so our emphasis on serving diverse and non-traditional households is something that we really should be focusing on. As well as technology is such an important part right now that we have a lot of room for improvement on that.
All right, so now that we've gone through the external factors and the analysis, we can identify the key success factors, or the areas we want to focus on to accomplish. We first want to successfully identify the future clients and their needs. Next off, we want to design innovative technological approach to attract them and draw them into Edward Jones. The next one is engaging them through education and going for the future clients as well, not just the millennials. The fourth one is employees are better suited to do this, so that means upping the training to more cater to this new approach. The last one is that Edward Jones really likes their meaningful relationships, so we need to keep retaining that and their core values of this. So here are all alternatives to this. Option one, robo-advising. This is an online wealth management system that is algorithm-based. The pros of this is that there's 24/7 availability, and it's also easy to understand, and it always is continuously updating. The cons of this, however, is that there is no human relationship aspect to it, and it kind of takes away Edward Jones's personal part of having a financial advisor. Also, it's really not in line with the company's core values, so this is something that is a problem with robo-advising. The next option is globalization. So this is physically expanding to other countries. The pros of this is we are diversifying by physically going to the different diversities out there. The cons of this, it means it could lose the personal relationship that Edward Jones has with their clients by expanding that big. Also, this could be a future growth, but for right now, we need to be firmly established in the culture of the United States today and the changing demographics before we expand outward in that way. Option number 3, the hybrid approach. This is integrating technological approach and enhancing online presence while also hiring more diverse brokers. The pros of this is that we are attracting future clients such as the millennials and the next generation with an online presence. This means we're going to where they are and we're improving their accessibility. This also means we're retaining them because we are getting them further and we're getting Edward Jones in their mind. It's a competitive advantage, but also maintaining the core values of Edward Jones. The cons of this is that it could kind of demotivate the firmly established, like those nearing the retirement age brokers, because it is a change in culture. And since it is a change in culture, it would mean more hiring and training on the part of Edward Jones.
All right, so now after looking at all these different alternatives and the qualitative analysis on the pros and cons of each associated with it, we wanted to look at more of a quantitative approach. So we have the weighted decision matrix, which lays out our alternatives on top, the robo-advising, globalization, and hybrid approach. And next, we're going to compare those to our key success factors that we identified before. And while we know that these are all necessary to be successful in approaching this key issue, we do realize that some of them are more important and substantial to address than others. So we have given them each their own associated weight. As you can see, some like attracting and retaining have a way higher one because there is more opportunity for growth. Whereas others like serving are lower because while they're just as important, I feel like our employee base really has a better approach with, once again, meeting new needs based on like, time or the changing times. So next we have a ranking system in which we ranked 1 for 0 through 5, each of the alternatives based on does not meet criteria at all the way to effectively meeting criteria. So as you can see, robo-advising scored relatively low on almost all of the criteria, however, really high on attracting just because they are so convenient. Also, globalization, they scored about moderate on most things, but the hybrid approach scored relatively high on almost all the key success factors. They did tend to score a little bit lower on engaging and serving just because those are a little bit harder to address and to really assess whether they will be successful or not. However, we do think that the high scores in the other ones do make it a more successful approach. So as you can see, the totals, this one being the highest, as 4.7 being closest to 5, and that is why this is our recommendation, the hybrid approach, integrating technological and innovative approach to reaching those new clientele, while also maintaining our core values and sticking to that really deep, meaningful relationship that we establish with our clientele.
Okay, so now let's get into how we can improve our technological environment. So a few of our competitors, they're not as cool as us, so they're not worth mentioning by name. They do offer a few tools that our app currently doesn't, such as visual representation, a more self-service approach, so that if I'm somewhere, I can just go on my app and deal with all my financing without having to be face-to-face with an advisor. That makes the client journey great as far as informational resources, because there's plenty out there for us to look and as well to learn from. Gamification is a term that I just got familiar with, actually. It's becoming very popular. It's basically simulations. So we give them a mock case and how to invest their money or whatever. And then by the way that we can actually retain them is by rewarding them. So just giving them some points or letting them check their credit score for free. And as well as communication, which we are lacking. Our website currently does not have a live chat. And that was really that was a worry for us. And as well as remote access so that we don't have to go to a branch to actually talk to an advisor to solve our problems. Okay. So now that we've kind of gave you some of the key factors that we saw that we're missing out on, once again, we put that against our competitors as far as an online presence. So taking back Eddie, if Eddie wants to learn about financing, the first thing that he's going to do is going to Google how to invest his money. And we have a lot of opportunity for growth in this aspect because this is embedded the most current information that we have out there as far as online presence for us.
All right, so now the society being so much into cell phones, we plan on doing a social engagement where we show the engagement per day, engagement per post, and engagement post per day of Edward Jones and 2 other competitors. Where we can see Edward Jones have comparatively high engagement per day and engagement per post, given that they don't have the post per day high as much as their competitors. That's what we need to look into.
Next off, we're not going to give you this kind of alternative and not give you some financials and expected costs along with it. So we really highlighted app redesign, website update, and social media integration, which we will talk about shortly. We broke it up into short-term and long-term, so you can see what the immediate cost would be, as well as like yearly and later on. So with app redesign, we focus on programming, integration, and marketing, and as you can see, that is kind of the bulk of our cost. Next up is website update. The new user registration and the adding live tab really wasn't as expensive as I found. And again, I used global standards and also some more industry reports on getting this data. A modern interface and search engine, again, really wasn't as much as I expected it to be, so that was something that Edward Jones could easily implement. And you also see that a yearly cost is attached because you do have to hire people for that. For social media integration, we thought a social media manager would be a good thing for Edward Jones to do next for that. Because it would be someone who could delegate to other new hires since they are more in-depth in the social media process. So they can pick and choose the new hires that they see are really good at this and kind of develop them as leaders. Next off, we did advertising and new platforms. And that came to also a yearly cost because you do have staffing and you do have updates along with that. So as you can see, the immediate cost is near $1 million, but again, that will be very good for Edward Jones to implement because it will attract future generations along with it.
All right, for the HR plan, we are planning on having more cultural events in universities and all the colleges because we want to get used to the different cultures and get millennials from different diversity, cultural and background. And we also wanted to add an acceptance line in the job description because we want to show how welcoming we are towards our any kind of background, ethnicity, and any kind of background people.
So social media plan. So millennials are 2 times more likely to use social media to gather their financial information. So we thought we could combine traditional communication you've already done along with social media. So it can be used for just more than selling services. You can put content distribution and involve them a little bit more in the information process. You can do video and blogs with investing tutorials. This is another way to engage new hires on this part. You can share case studies. And what this does is kind of humanize the brand for those seeing it from the social media standpoint and engage future clients as they see this. Social responsibility. So this is more of the part where we can engage future generations as well as give back to the community. So we can offer free or low-cost financial investing services to those in high school or college. And to segregate this and control those who can do this, we can use their EDU school email address to make sure that those are in school that are using this. Also, back to the gamification that Sarah mentioned, we can make investing fun for the younger generation so they get more involved early on and ingrate Edward Jones in their mind. So we can make future games that integrate investing ideas into it. This creates a relationship with future clients.
All right, if you were Eddie, which of the office? Okay, if you were Eddie, which of the office would you be going, or would you prefer to go? Definitely something that is more welcoming and something more opening towards the millennials. That's what we are looking into.
So now to kind of wrap that up, we do want to come back to social responsibility because we do think that attracting and also, attracting new millennials and the new clientele, they do have a really strong interest in social responsibility. A lot of people don't have interest in a firm that isn't taking care of local culture, the environment, the people around them, and really caring about the clientele. So making sense of investment, you guys have that on your website. And so we want to talk about how we're really going to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is a generation initiative. So that's basically looking into the younger generations, and not even just the millennials, but also Gen Z. Also looking to the younger ones, so starting things in high school, starting things in college, so that by the time they finish college, instead of Eddie, they know how to invest. They know the importance of investing. They see the value in a financial advisor. Education across different languages and cultures. We kind of take for granted that we kind of understand the way our system works. People coming into this country might not have that same advantage. Educational resources online. So once again, when we want to find something out, we Google it. So we want to have that information ready so that people associate the trade with our business, Edward Jones. So now we want to show you the implementation timeline, which basically breaks things up between departments over short term and then into long term. So some of the few things that I want to highlight are, the first, in the short term, we're going to start with HR, which is redesigning the corporate culture like we mentioned before. And we're going to start the market research, really honing into what the target market is, and then auditing, creating the budget, of course. Some of the other things I wanted to mention are hiring focus on international experience, bilinguality, and diversity in recruiting and hiring. Compliance, adherence to core values and 2020 vision, implementing changes, suggesting improvements, and monitoring progress. That goes all the way throughout the entire process.
And we're not just going to leave you alone, we're also going to do milestone reviews to keep with you during this initiative. So we're going to check up on, during the recruiting and hiring and the training and training development, to know that it's doing what exactly we set it out to do. And also we're going to check on the end of compliance to make sure that what we said we were going to do is what we actually did. And then we will check up on the end on the audit to make sure that it's all under budget. Okay,
So with every investment, there's obviously some risks, but we are going to show you how to mitigate those risks. One of them is the obsolescence of investment advising. The probability, as you see, is fairly low, but the severity is moderate. However, we can mitigate that we can offer our clients low-cost alternatives. So that would relate to Eddie.
So wrapping up on Eddie, we see that we walked him through the process of what we would like to do to help him, and now he knows his financial investment a little bit better, and he can go further in his future knowing that he has Edward Jones behind him to help him through the rest of his career. Thank you.
Good job. A lot of information. And you know what? It is amazing how many different solutions you can perhaps come up with, right? So I appreciate your analysis. Obviously, you spent a great deal of time coming up with all these different potential alternatives. So one thing that I will say, and it's rather interesting, I've told every other team this too, being on this side and being a financial advisor in the real world, having my own client base, that exact office that you put up was mine. That's me. No, just kidding. So, at the end of the day, it's rather interesting to be in the real world, and these are the issues that we're facing, and seeing potential solutions, and it kind of does put two and two together for us. So, good job with the analysis. I certainly appreciate it. A few questions. So, first off, will you put the cost slide again as far as building the technology?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I thought it would be a little quicker.
That's okay.
Anyways, so there, that slide right there. So $967,000.
Yes.
That sounds rather. So let's focus on the website piece right there, right? So perhaps maintaining it, that's probably accurate, but in my head, I was trying to put together all the people that, so human capital that's going to be needed as far as making this whole thing work. Now think about their salaries and all this.
Yes.
Was that included?
The salary was included, and we also thought Edward Jones already could implement some of the people they already have. Because the IT people, maybe they have other things that they're interested in, and you haven't tapped into their full potential.
Sure.
So honestly, I put that in there just a little bit, but I didn't add as much as I should, because I thought Edward Jones should have the IT already established in there to be able to do this.
And we certainly do. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that is the largest department at Jones. But nonetheless, I think when you're taking a look at the cost,
Yeah.
you do have to consider human capital, technology, physical resources that you may need. And I feel like that piece for that web page may be a little low, but that's just because it sounds like that may not be integrated fully.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but we added the search engine optimization for $3,000, and that was for the short term, and definitely that adds up with the employee too, because search engines, when you need to work on the search engines, you need to have somebody to work on it, and you don't spend that money on the search engine though. So that's where we are lining up the employee with the work together.
Okay.
And honestly, we know that we're giving you just a rough estimate of it, so you can come in and we work together with you to show you to kind of make the budget a little bit more sound with the resources that you have. That way we can open it up together to make it two-way.
And this is great, don't get me wrong, I just was trying to put two and two together. It was a little bit lower.
It was hard getting research on this because it is something that is case-by-case analysis. So I kind of got a range that I could find.
So I have a quick on the next.
Oh, yeah.
A couple slides later, the milestone chart with stars on it.
Yeah.
We made my office up there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, back. There we go. So Laura, I think you were talking about the third line compliance,
Yes.
and you said a milestone review at the end of compliance. So to me,
Yes.
compliance is compliance to regulatory changes and Sarbanes-Oxley requirements, things
Yes.
like that. I didn't understand the phrase, like waiting until the end of compliance.
And I actually do, I'm studying to be advisory consultant in an accounting firm, so I can speak a little bit more on this. So for this, it's more based on, compliance is usually involved during the whole process, but for us to come in and kind of do just a review with them. So they would be taking data, and we would give them key points to like maybe not cross over the certain things, and give the perimeters to like boundaries so they can kind of compile together, and also like wash over the whole process. But we would come back in at the end and see all the data that they've collected.
So me, I would almost wonder about even some smaller stars.
All right, and that would be something we work with you.
Along that,
Yeah.
because as important as compliance is, you don't get that. until
Exactly.
they-
Hey, if you want to
and
hire
number
us
one
again,
is
zero money, we can come
intuitively-
in.
Well, no.
No, I
intuitively,
do
you know,
agree with you on that, yes,
that
because
there's gonna be
compliance does need
ongoing
to be
reviews.
throughout it, yeah. And again, that's why this is a kind of a two-way dynamic, so we can kind of, you know, you can show us your concerns to our proposal, and we can adjust it as needed.
It's all very well thought out.
Appreciate that.
I'm going to point out a couple of, one comment which I thought was a direct contradiction where you said, well, millennials are taking over the market. But it just got, you said 40 to 50% of them having money in our investing in the market. So I was having trouble putting those two together.
Okay, so the research indicated that actually millennials are receiving the money from the baby boomers. So they're passing down their money to the millennial generation.
There's
How-
$30 trillion going from the baby
Yeah.
boomers to millennials due to Pew Research that we looked at, and that's where we got those numbers as well.
However, if you look at the previous slide, you will see that there's certain percentage of people that do not have money, but we are talking about the rest of the people that do have money. That's what we're looking for.
When you talk about the group advising or they do work, I thought you put that on the part that you did on. I mean, you could hit that more. When you got to the globalization, I think you swung on this because Edward Jones is a globalization, they're an internal U.S. company. I
Yes.
think what you might want to focus more is on like an internal globalization. The fact that you've got demographics where you've got Hispanic neighborhoods, where you've got Asian neighborhoods, Black neighborhoods, where you really have to focus on demographics in that spot. So it's almost an internal kind of globalization versus.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were trying to, you know, describe with it. The globalization was just going out instead of, because we are just US and Canada, so going more to Europe and India and Africa and all the other countries. Instead of diversifying physically, we meant that you should bring those people to Edward Jones and build Edward Jones up internally first. So that was kind of our take on the globalization aspect. It was just the physical component of it.
Yeah, and the hardest thing, as we talked about before, the hardest thing is to move from the engage
Yes.
part of what you're doing into the next point where there's actually a relationship.
Yes, and that's where Ahmed's HR component came in, because he really did address what we could do to retain those new hires. So you talked about a youth board, so you could establish leaders in the new hires, and then you could, like, you know, use them to promote the company. And then in that way,
Also
yeah,
hire bilingual people because they can definitely, if I go to any firm or any investment company, I'll definitely prefer talking to someone who can speak my own language. So, you know, that way we can get another sector of the market in our, like, you know, inside the firm. So that's one of the way to look into it. And also we looked at a couple of numbers while doing this research, and we found out, like, you know, the growth and the diversity of the millennials are increasing incredibly. So this is something we really need to look at. And that is definitely projected though, but you never know what happens depending on the political situation. But this is something we found out when we were doing the research.
so engaging on it, we're just establishing, we're trying to establish leaders and giving them more volunteers, because millennials are more interested in doing something more than just their job. So I think giving them more opportunities and work to be leaders and then reach out and have cultural events will definitely start engaging them.
Exactly, and that's why we sort of chose to do the personification of Eddie. Because really, Eddie is all of us. Nobody teaches us how to invest our money from high school. That's something that we have to learn from Google. And I believe that a broader online presence from us will actually help our way.
Yeah, I think, you know what, because I think it's so interesting to talk about diversity and talk about multi-language being a barrier. I think all this kind of does play a part in real life. But at the end of the day, I think it's the bottom fundamentals, right? So if certain things are not taught in the household, like you said, you may have to utilize Google or Robinhood or whatever other programs, you have to do it yourself. And I think the key here is going to be to figure out how do you take the engagement that we currently have with the one office person, like myself, and then kind of transfer that, utilize the online technology and all this, but never lose that key interaction piece, right? So I think that's going to be the key here. It sounds like you guys are kind of hitting it, but at the end of the day, I just want to make it.
And yeah, sorry. And in that way, like, you know, having a long-term client, with the firm for a long time. So if we do like not treat them just like clients, if we treat them like family, they can also spread these words to their kids. Be like, when you're growing up, this is the place to go for. That's why we are also looking at the market for millennials, because millennials, I said millennials. So we are also looking at them so that they can come to our firms and they can get to know how it goes without paying any money, so that they have a keen interest on the investment.
Yes, and Rachel, do you want to talk about the education aspect again?
Yes, so
Just
that's
so-
another thing I was gonna say, is that, yes, it is kind of up to parents to teach their kids about investing and the importance of it, They say like their kids, you want a job, and you want to save money, you want to get a good job when you're older, you want to retire eventually. But, we're looking at this education aspect because maybe the parents. Sorry. But, in case the parents are lacking in that aspect, we really want to we want to come in at an early stage so that when they finish high school, when they finish college, they have Everjones in their mind. They're like, they were with me in my early stages of life. They were teaching me about investment. So that's what they associate the name with. And we're
also-
helping them along the whole way.
For real life experience with that, we pulled that from, I had an experience when I was in 4th grade up until early years of high school, where I had a junior achievement program, where an insurance company came in and taught me values about insurance and what I needed to focus on, and also had a lot of, a representative would come in and speak to us, someone that was young that we could relate to.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Good job.
This is just an observation, not a question. Wherever you go, though, finance by nature is quantitative, but that you took the time, instead of just having your left side nomenclature, so you took the time to have text in your color bands to help explain that. It'll serve you well where you go to remember this type of chart or communicate. It's a really good chart.
Thank you so
very
much.
much. Thank you for your time.
Good job.